Hello, everybody. Awesome to have you back today for the podcast R&R. Man, it's an exciting day, and we're happy that you are looking at us while we have this podcast today.
I'm sure that people prefer the audio version.
You think so? Or they could be like me and just take your glasses off and you can't
And then
see.
you can't see anyways, right?
Funny story. I swiped my glasses off of the nightstand by accident in the middle of the night at some point. Okay. Mm-hmm. So my vision's like 2800.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all. Not good. But I confess over my eyes every day, and they're getting better. But I swiped my glasses off the nightstand, and they're all clear, right? Like you can see, they're all clear, and so I can't see. So then you get up the next morning and you're trying to figure out where your glasses went.
Right.
So you're falling all over the furniture. You're trying to get down, and then you're trying to get close enough to the floor to find them. And my wife, of course, because I'm down in the floor, she thinks I'm praying. so when we come downstairs, she comes downstairs for breakfast. She says, "Sweetheart, you blessed me so much this morning." And I said, "Why did I bless you this morning?" She said, "I was so touched when I woke up."
And you were praying.
And you were down on your knees beside the bed praying. I hope you prayed for me. Now, a less charactered individual would have said, "Oh, honey, I was absolutely seeking God for our marriage, our life, but I couldn't lie."
And you said, "Are you kidding me?"
I said, "Well, babe, I was looking for my glasses." And so she punched me. I don't get it.
2,800.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty substantial.
Instead of 2020.
Yeah, 2,800.
Yeah. At the age of 11, now all you coppers are going to go, "Oh, what an idiot." But I was 11 years old. And I was a little wild crazy at 11 years old. And my brother pulled the lead bullet out of a .22 long rifle shell my dad had.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of leaving it out, he shredded it up for some reason and stuffed it back down in the shell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and my very excited mind, I found it under our bunk beds, and I decided that I would dig the lead out.
Oh.
And that I would take it outside, hit it with a rock, and make a loud bang. Cool. I'd be the cool guy of the neighborhood.
How'd that work out?
Did not work out well. Mm-mm. I had a straight pen. I didn't have glasses on at the time. And I'm looking down in the bullet, and I hit the rim primer, and I blew all that up in my eyes and my face.
Wow. Lucky you can still see.
Yes. Yeah. So my eyes hemorrhaged. They had to buff and pick lead out of my lens in my eye. And then where they buffed my eye to get the powder burns off left flat spots. So long story short, it did not help my nearsightedness at all. So
you won't do that again.
No. No, you learn
Those are one-time.
That's a one-time life deal.
Self-correcting right there.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
So really a miracle that I can see. I had both eyes patched and covered for a couple of months. And
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. While they continued to do the surgery. and
That's a story.
And then I had lead that would continue to surface out of my nose and my face, and I never had acne or pimples or anything like that. It was always
lead coming
out. Lead coming out.
Wow.
So every once in a while I'd get you'd think it was a pimple on my nose or something, and then you pinch it and, oh, there's another piece of lead. So, yeah, for years.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
How your body does that, right?
Yeah. You know, we had an officer that was shot back in the 1980s, early 80s.
Okay.
And was shot with a shotgun on a run. And to this day, he still has shot that will surface periodically. Yep.
Wow.
And they have to cut out and it'll come right up to the surface and whatnot.
Kidding.
It just shows you the long-term challenges from that. But yeah.
I think a lot of people don't actually really do not realize that even though an officer's life is saved,
right,
that their bodies don't magically just repair this. They're not superheroes.
Right.
They're not like Elastic Man where you got an injury, or you watch movies where the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, reforms his skin or whatever. These can be and are many times just really life altering injuries.
Yeah, that part never makes it into the TV shows or the movies.
I don't think people realize, or media stories either.
Right.
I don't think many people realize that when an officer has to go hands-on or take somebody to the ground, they get injured too.
That's right.
Many times their hands, their elbows, their shoulders. I know of officers that have had both their rotator cuffs completely torn loose from just trying to hold on to somebody to get them to the ground so that they can't hurt another individual that's on the scene. Legs, knees, not to mention backs and hips from carrying the duty, their duty belt around, 40 pounds every day of their life. Is it 40 pounds?
Yeah, you got about an average of 30 to 40.
30 to 40 pounds.
With all your gear.
And what kind of toll that takes on your ankles, your knee, all your joints, right? And then you got to chase somebody down carrying all that.
You got to be functional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, and then you're talking about years of that, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Right?
25 to 30 years if you're blessed
of that. Yeah. So
to have a full career.
Right. So it definitely takes the toll. But that's wild. I to be picking lead out of your eyes, and then even for having poor eyesight to still be able to see is pretty amazing.
That's a great,
very lucky.
Yep, it's a great blessing.
Yeah,
great blessing. And I'm still I bow hunt. I do all that stuff, and still have
very fortunate.
Yeah. And I actually read better without my glasses on than I do with them on.
Yeah, so
even though I have bifocals,
phase, right? So of all the stuff close up and the reading and whatnot, but
I figured out I needed bifocals fishing, and I broke my line. It just happened in one day. I mean, I'm out on Geist Reservoir, broke the line. I'm trying, and so I'm putting a 1/0 hook on. I hold it up. I can't find the eye. I got the fish on, and I'm poking on. I'm like, what is? At first, I thought I was having a brain. So I was having a stroke or something. I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong. Calling my wife. I think something's going wrong with me. You might have to come get me. And of course, the eye doctor laughed. He said, no, how old are you? And I told him. He said, yeah, you're there. And I couldn't find that line. Now I pulled my glasses off, and I could find it pretty quick. But yeah, that was scary.
Well, it's amazing. You hear all the stories about how resilient the eye can be and all the nerves and whatnot. I just watched something, too, about somebody was talking about, like, when you turn your head, how your eyes will follow back, and that's related to fluid in your ear and
isn't that wild?
All these other things. It's amazing to me.
I was having shoulder issues, and the surgeon sent me to physical therapy instead of cutting me open, which I appreciate that. But the physical therapist would have me stretch my neck, and then she said, now, if you look up while you're doing this or look down, you'll get an even better stretch. I said, shut up. She said, no, I'm serious. Try it. And so when I pulled my neck over, I had my hand against the wall, pulled my neck over, and looked up, I could feel it all the way down into my fingers, the tip of my fingers.
Isn't that wild?
So my eye, I said, are you kidding me? My eye is attached to a muscle running down. She said, oh, yeah. Huh. Who would have, as we would say, thunk it?
Yeah,
who would have thought that, right? It's crazy. The Bible has a lot to say about eyes, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some pretty famous statements that involve that, right?
Yeah.
That people use a lot of times.
That's right.
One of the ones you always hear is an eye for an eye.
And a tooth for a tooth.
Yeah.
Stay away. We don't want the dentist. That's scary.
Yeah.
Second Chronicles in the Old Testament, chapter 16, verse 9 says, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is perfect towards him or love him." His eyes are always looking for those in the earth and to show himself strong. I like this. I love this verse.
Yeah.
But his eyes are his
Mm-hmm.
eyes are seeking us out. You know, the eye is amazing, especially in your line of work in law enforcement, and those of you that are watching today. Our eyes are amazing, but also within the scope of what you do in law enforcement.
Sure.
And what all these great men and women do in law enforcement. It's amazing what the eyes tell you in intelligence and different things where people are interrogated or where people are, they're investigated and interviewed. Even if it's
talking to a victim.
Yeah, talking
right?
to a victim, watching their eyes. You can tell if somebody's lying or telling the truth, right? Because they'll do certain things. You can tell if somebody's on substance, right? Because their eyes do certain things that they would not normally do unless they were intoxicated or on some type of intoxicating substance. The eyes are powerful. Your eyes are amazing. They say a lot. We talk about them being the window of the soul, right?
Yeah.
And they really do give you, your pupils will dilate or they'll thin out or, all kinds of different things that our eyes do.
Plus, we deal with that tactically, too. You know, people don't think about that, but we train for that, right? Like nighttime tactics and whatnot. And what do you do if you get a light shined in your eyes, quickly and it blinds you momentarily?
Right.
That can be fatal depending on the environment and the circumstances that you're in and whatnot. And how do you get your eyes to quickly reacclimate to the lighting conditions? And do you know how you do that?
Well,
you blink rapidly. So if you get blinded by light, you blink rapidly, and it stimulates the rods or the cones or whatever in your eye. But it's like an equilibrium. It equalizes your eyes back out quickly to the lighting that's available. And so the point being is you can work through it,
right? If
you know and you plan for it and you train in it, just like everything else,
right?
And here again, it's the significance of light, combined with the eyes. So, yeah.
And your
eyes, tip for folks.
That's great.
Yeah.
And your eyes are used to introduce light into your body. That's why you can't see at night.
That's right.
Because there's not enough light to reflect off of an object to bring it back to your eyesight. Another cool thing about your eyes that I find very powerful is that you actually see the world upside down. You actually see objects upside down.
Really?
Like when I'm looking at the cup that you have right there, physically, my eye sees that cup and the reflection or light bend, and that image comes into my eye upside down. My brain then takes that image and turns it right side up.
Really?
From the light refraction.
Wow.
So you and I are born into this world, seeing this world
upside down.
The amount of light introduced from that object, the power of the brain that God gave you, his nature inside your head enables you to take that and turn that right side up, so that when you reach for it, you reach for the part that you see right side up.
Wow.
But your eye actually receives it upside down.
Inverted.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
So think about people driving.
Yeah, think about all the things moving.
Yeah,
all the time.
That they're bringing in upside down.
Constantly.
That their brain, how powerful your brain
that is.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's wild.
And so it's kind of like a compass, right? And kind of dials it back up to the true north there and flips it back up the correct way for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
So in our life and in our jobs and in every situation that we're dealing with, we can have the tendency to see things upside down.
No doubt about that.
I really do believe that this is how people wind up in Great Depression and in great trouble in their life and their spirit, is they are concentrating on what they're seeing, but they have not the understanding at the moment of turning that thing right side up. So when the images that they see of themselves, the images they see of their circumstances, the images they bring into their mind of all the things that are going wrong, they do not reinvert them to being what is true.
So they just stay focused in there on that thing that's upside down, right?
That's right.
And actually, in a way, prevent it from getting turned right side up.
Prevent it. That's right.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
I mean, and that happens a lot, right? And I always think, the other thing that we tell people, right, is to remind them that even in times of trauma, it's a great example of when that can occur. Kind of like blinking your eyes to realign them is the way to help work through that trauma, is to work and come alongside that officer, that spouse, that person, and help them see the bigger picture, right? And not just focus in on that. It's kind of like tunnel vision for law enforcement, right? So, again, in a traumatic, critical incident, your body will naturally hone in on the biggest threat that it perceives, whether that be the end of a gun pointed at you or a knife that somebody has, or it could be an injured colleague, right? That's been injured and laying on the ground. And you may get so focused and dialed in on that you fail to see the bigger picture of everything else that's going on around you. And so that's a key factor that helps not only preserve your life in the moment, but then how do you mentally, right, emotionally, spiritually see that bigger picture as you work through that incident.
I remember in shooting scenarios that they would have you so concentrated on the guy getting out of the car.
That's right.
That you forgot about your flank, you forgot about the side or the back of you, and you would get so honed in on the person in front of you, yelling commands and dealing with them, that all of a sudden you get tagged in the side of your head from the right hand or the left hand side or from your back, and you turn around and you get nailed from the guy coming out of a building.
When you think about it, here again, the way that we train, right? So we try to train and teach to break the tunnel vision. How do you break the tunnel vision, right?
Right.
A lot of times you have to build in the muscle memory to physically make yourself start turning your head and breaking out of that tunnel. Right?
Put your
you
head
can do
on
the
a swivel.
same thing with rapid eye movement, combined with turning your head and breaking that tunnel vision and starting to come back out, see the picture get enlarged, and see more of the details and the things surrounding you.
When we used to fight, especially in martial arts or karate, you were taught not to look directly at your opponent. You almost get a glaze because your peripheral vision is actually stronger than you can get punched in the face very quickly, even if somebody says, I'm about to punch you right in the nose. Right? Because your hand doesn't see straight on. You can block a looping punch or a hook or something like that, but that straightforward punch, that's the one that gets you because your eye can't pick it up.
Well, it's blending into the background for one.
Right.
And again, here's the value of looking along the edges, the margins, right?
Right.
It's where you'll see greater any change, right? It might be, I think what you're saying is minor compared to what it is straight on.
Right.
But if you're looking to the side, you're going to pick up on that more minute change quicker.
That's
first, right?
Your natural reaction, if you're looking, if you are focused but not at your target, but you're focused this direction, your natural reaction will work off of your peripheral much quicker than straight on, straight to the front.
key point right there.
Yeah. So you have to keep not just what's in front. Again, tunnel vision. You have to keep and you can still see, like right now, I can literally see everything that you would do right now at this moment.
Right.
Even though I can't distinguish I
Right.
can see your eyes, I can see your hand, I can see every part of you.
But you're going to pick up on that movement.
But
that
my
change.
eye's going to kill. Oh, yeah, very, very quick.
Kind of goes back to that verse, right?
Yep.
The Lord is looking to and fro.
That's right.
He's
He's got his
breaking
head
that
on the
tunnel
swivel.
vision. There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So then what really hurts us, what really gets to us, is not the things we see. It's this phrase. And a very dear friend of ours said this the other day, it was really awesome because I had written this down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that confirms that. He says, you know what gets us in trouble a lot of times is the phrase, I didn't see that coming.
That's right.
I didn't see that coming.
That is right.
Well, I never saw that coming. Sometimes, sadly, when we have people who lose their life to suicide or things of that nature, we'll say, gosh, man, I just didn't see that. Or a horrible accident, right? Nobody saw that coming. We didn't know that was going to happen. Now, there are some things that you can see far enough ahead and plan for and you're prepared for, and you'll say, well, we all saw that coming, right? This guy's been going over the mountain for a while. We saw that coming. But I think really a lot of times the most painful ones, especially in an officer's life, is when they say, man, I didn't see that coming. I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Why didn't they talk to me? Why didn't they? I love that. They know we were close. That's the horribleness of suicide.
Yeah.
Or just an untimely death, right? Heart attack, or people forget officers lose their life over natural medical situations too, right? It's not always just fighting the bad guys. Car wrecks, right? Now we got COVID,
right?
Just all manner of things. This is a dangerous planet.
Right.
Don't forget evil, but on top of evil, this is a stinking dangerous planet. I was reading a story the other day where a lady had gone into the woods on a walk, just on a walk in the woods, and a tree limb fell off and killed her.
Yeah.
Fell and hit her in the head. She didn't survive it. That's a dangerous planet.
That's right.
I don't know if there's a squirrel up there jumping up, but it's probably not good. But it's sad. It's heartbreaking. So then you take all of that into, I didn't see that coming.
Which for officers, right? That's what we're trained to do, is to see it coming. And
what's the favorite phrase?
Always watch the hands.
Show me your hands. Show me your hands.
Yeah. Always watch the hands. Right? Same
That's
thing.
right.
It's going to telegraph any kind of change or movement or attack, ambush, all those kinds of things. But to do that, you got to be clear-eyed, right? You've got to have practiced the observation, right? And that
observation,
right? We're paid, trained observers, right?
That's right.
And really trained to observe the abnormal in the midst of what is seemingly normal. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So kind of the same thing. We're trained to look to and fro and to quickly key in on those things which are abnormal or can be dangerous in any situation. And then hopefully prevent it, right? Through de-escalation or tactics, direct orders.
So you mean that officers and people of the law are looking to and fro like God does?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
How about that?
Yeah.
And their eyes are looking at those who are doing good and also at those who are doing bad.
That's right.
And having to judge between the two.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about like a traffic cop.
Isn't that kind of like what God
patterns.
does? Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of relevant to the Lord, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It might be because he called you to do this job.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that, he puts in your heart, and then others train you to be like him in these ways. Well, I ain't nothing like the Lord. Well, yes, you are, Copper. You're exactly in those aspects like the Lord. So he's training you physically. He's training you mentally. And he wants to train you and have you walk with him spiritually.
Right.
So that by your spirit, it enhances all of the other trainings that you've received that are like him.
You know, what's interesting is for that verse is it doesn't say in there anywhere about him, you know, like some people say, well, if he's watching, why do you allow that to happen? Something bad, right?
Yeah.
It actually says he'll use all of it.
Yeah.
Right? What's the second part of the verse?
He says, on behalf of those he will show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he is watching, and he is making sure that he is working with those whose hearts are turned towards him.
So in that, even when you're in the middle of a bad situation or a great challenge, either through work, the job, your life, right?
Right.
If you stay focused on him, it doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen. Doesn't mean
it's
that,
a wicked planet.
That's right. It doesn't mean that challenges aren't going to come your way, but he can use those things to show himself strong.
That's right.
Right.
I always say it this way. Everybody wants to see a miracle. They just don't want to be the one that needs one.
That's it. That's right. That's a great point.
But the only way that you ever receive, see, hear about, or have testimony of miracles is if you need one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had cancer twice. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. The second time was a tumor in my pelvis about the size of a softball down the hole where your sciatic nerve goes on the right side of my body. So for a year, I was tormented with unbelievable pain.
Yeah.
Now, I thought I was tough. I thought I was handling it pretty good until I got that pain off of me. And then everybody that worked with me was like, man, you're like a totally different person now. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, dude. But I would have to sit with my leg up at my office on my desk for 45 minutes to an hour to get relief enough to drive home. And every day. So when they went in, the Wednesday night before I was to have surgery, they had the x-ray, showed the mass, said we're going to have to go in, remove this. The negative outcome here is that it looks like it's in the bone, which means we'll have to take the bone, and in taking the bone, we'll have to take out part of your pelvis, which that's where it was at, was in my pelvis. Had the major discussions. If you do that, do you have like, you know, I'm thinking like a hip replacement. You know, they were just started coming on strong at that time in the early 90s. And he's like, no, sadly, we don't have any replacement for your pelvis. It's, you know, there's many dynamics to your pelvis, and we can't do a pelvic replacement. I said, well, then what does that leave me with? He said, well, son, that leaves you without the use of your right leg, and that side will droop, and you'll be in a wheelchair. You know, you'll have to be in a wheelchair to be able to hold everything in some kind of normal capacity. Well, for I was like close to my 30s at that point, and drummer and all these things and karate and all. That was not what I wanted to hear. I'd just come through lung surgery of lung cancer in 1987. So this is in 93, I think. I just got married in 88. I'm young. I have no desire for losing half my pelvis. Well, the Wednesday night before surgery, I'm in church I'm sitting like second row back, and the Holy Spirit speaks to me in my heart and says, if you go forward and have prayer for healing, I will heal you. Just like that. And I could not wait for the pastor who was preaching to please get done, because I'm going to be the first person in front of that altar.
Yeah, running down there.
Oh, yeah. And so he finished up. His name is Steve Willis. He finished preaching, and I'm down there. And I said, the Lord said, if you will pray for me, I'm going to be healed. And he did. And I went in for surgery at the University Hospital of Cleveland. Dr. Makeley was the surgeon's name. And when they got in there, they couldn't find it. It was gone. They even x-rayed me open on the surgical table because they were concerned they had operated on the wrong side. Their words, not mine. Couldn't find it. And they found he said it looked like something had burnt out in that part of my pelvis. Like you had touched it with a torch or burnt just a little shade of burnt, like it burned, the bone had been burnt a little. But he said, it's gone. We don't know what happened. I remember him patting my leg in the recovery room, or in my room once I got out of recovery, and he said, young man, if I believed in miracles, I'd say you had one. I said, well, Doc, if I saw a miracle, I think I'd believe in it.
Believe in it.
He just smiled, laughed, and patted my leg and went out of the room.
Yeah.
That's a miracle story.
But nobody wants to go through that.
Now, what you don't know about that is that my sciatic nerve was so inflamed and out of control. To this day, it brings tears to my eyes because I remember clawing the walls. I don't mean in a metaphor. I mean, brother, my wife will tell you I was literally clawing the walls, begging for somebody to do something to get me out of that pain. Now, that's the kind of pain people can find themselves in their spirit and in their heart too.
Yeah, that is true.
And at that time, they were doing an experimental procedure. And you can find yourself in a place of pain where you don't care what they do. Just get it out, get it out. Like when I had lung cancer, I don't care what, you just get it out. And they did what they called a cottle block of some kind. They shot a nerve block, and it blocked that nerve off enough to get that calmed down in my leg finally. And man, to get that pain off of me.
Yeah, because it's just constant, right?
Yeah. So I was. You can talk. You can see a miracle every time you watch me walk. You know why I kick my leg when I preach? Now, you laugh about that all the time.
Yeah.
So you kicked your leg. You know why? Because I can.
That's right.
I kicked my leg because I should be in a wheelchair. I should have been without the use of my right leg, and I should have been handicapped. I don't know what.
Right.
Physically challenged, I guess, is the political way.
Without a doubt, limited.
Greatly
mobility.
Limited.
Yeah.
Greatly limited. But instead, Jesus touched my body and healed me. I am a miracle. I am a walking miracle that you can see, touch, feel. You can still feel the scar that's from the end of my tailbone halfway up my spine where they sliced me open. You can still see all the parts that they operate on. Sorry, get a little weepy. Must be the light. That's a miracle. And somebody today that's watching this program, that's watching us, somebody today is in the worst pain they've ever been in their life. Somebody today, right now, while you and I are talking about these scriptures and about the presence of God and how he loves cops and how he designed their nature to be like him, somebody today is in the worst pain they've ever been in. And they need a miracle.
And they can't see the bigger picture.
No.
Right?
They can't.
They get
something
that tunnel vision.
blindsided them.
That's right.
Something hit them so hard, whether it was coming home to divorce papers, whether it was getting hit by a vehicle from the side, whether it was somebody really did physically hit them or punch them, whether it was some issue they're dealing with from top command or some departmental mess.
Even
now
administratively.
Right. That they got to try to chart through. Somebody said they did something they didn't do. Somebody assaulted their character. Something got them into a mess, and something hit them they didn't see.
Mm-hmm. Didn't see it coming.
And I'm here to tell you today that God has miracle power, and He will bless you, strengthen you, and get you through this if you will not only learn the tactics and the techniques that is a part of His character, but also the character that's inside, that He is looking for you and
to and fro
to show Himself strong.
That's right.
On your behalf.
That's powerful.
If you'll trust Him. If you'll just open, as Ephesians says, the eyes of your understanding can be enlightened, right? Remember we talked about light shooting into your eye and turning right side up, what you're literally seeing upside down.
Right.
The Lord can help you today if you'll trust Him.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And help you see this situation differently than you're seeing it right now.
And really, somebody watching this would say, oh, well, that's great, but how do I do that? It's really no different than calling for help on your radio.
Hey, you're putting in a 911 call to heaven.
That is right.
That's right.
And all you got to do is say, help.
And the dispatchers never go to the bathroom in heaven. They never need a coffee break.
That's right.
They are, listen, 24/7, and they don't put you on hold ever. They are ready to take your call and to
I
hear
think that's the
what you
key
need.
for somebody that's watching this right now, especially an officer. It could be an officer sitting in a parking lot watching this on their laptop right now, thinking that they have no way out.
That's right. That's right.
Thinking that there is an end to this tunnel,
Yeah.
and they can't see the bigger picture. They can't break that tunnel vision. My hope is that this message breaks through to them, and to turn your head, right?
Come on, man.
Break
is hope.
the tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Blink your eyes.
There
right?
you go.
Work through the situation to that extent, and all you have to do is say, help me. And He will come running.
He will. And it might be bad. What you're dealing with to you at the moment may be the worst thing you've ever experienced in your life.
That's right.
You may think there is no possible way to overcome it. I'm here to tell you, Rick's here to tell you, you can.
Yeah.
You can absolutely get through this. It's not the worst thing. It doesn't have the right to take you out if you'll just hear our voice, hear the voice of God.
That's right.
And start looking and opening your eyes, and just like you said, start looking around. He's there.
That's right. And, and you call for backup, just like you would anything else in your work, right? The worst thing that we have happen is the officers that try to John Wayne it and go handle it by themselves. It's the same thing with the challenge you're going through in your personal life, your professional life, outside the job, is you can't John Wayne it.
You cannot.
Call for backup and don't handle it by yourself. One of the key principles that we teach in law enforcement is this concept of contact cover.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do both at the same time. See, people lose sight of that. And you have to designate. You need at least one person who's the contact person, right? That may be the officer that's in the middle of the situation.
Right.
But you need that cover officer who's watching their back, who's seeing the bigger picture. While they're focusing on the task at hand, that officer's seeing that bigger picture.
That's right.
And can call out or intervene if they see that change in motion, right? They're seeing the periphery that maybe the officer's not seeing. It's no different. For our officers that are in these situations that find themselves stuck, right? Or find themselves in the middle of an absolute chaotic situation.
Yeah, a mess.
All you have to do is call for backup.
That's right.
Who's your cover officer? And it's not always going to be another officer. It can't always be your spouse. It can't always be a family member.
It cannot.
And see, that's the thing that I think is key for people to understand. Because I hear that from officers. When they get stuck, they feel like they are the only one, and they got no one they can turn to. And you know what? Sometimes physically, they don't. The great secret, the great reveal is there is somebody that you can call out to.
That's right. That's right.
And he'll come running every time.
We have more to say about this. We're going to do the next one. We're going to cover more on this.
Yeah, we need to.
I think this is really, really very powerful. You guys send us something, text us something, say something in the caption of the podcast. Let us know what you think. We're going to come back to this because I think this is a very powerful. I think this will bring some understanding to some officers who'll go, gosh, I never thought about it like that.
It is right. And that it's
I never saw it like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's applicable.
Yes, it is very applicable.
It's not some dry, dusty book here.
It's the real deal.
It's the real deal. Yeah. And it's the ultimate help book, right? And it's not self-help. It is help from the one who can bring it. And so I just know with every fiber in my being that this hits home for many different people, and I hope it speaks into their life right now, and that they call out, and not only call out to the Creator Himself, but call for that backup officer too.
There you go.
Don't be afraid to reach out to your fellow officers for backup, and watch what can transpire, what can actually happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to pray, and then we'll close it out. Father, thank you for this great insight today. I thank you for Rick. I thank you for our hearts, for all of our law enforcement brothers and sisters, and all of our first responders. We pray that you bless them, all of our veterans and military men and women. We ask you, Lord, that you would help them now to open up their eyes wide so that their hearts can be penetrated by your light. We bless them today. Help them to know there is hope and there is an answer of light for their situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Hey, man, all of you watching us, we love you. We're so glad that you're a part of this with us. And we're so thankful to get to do this. I love you, my friend.
I love you too. Thank you for sitting here and walking along
awesome.
With me in this. This is good stuff.
I love it. This is my life. I love it. It's
a
great joy, great pleasure. Until next time, God bless you. We'll see you soon. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Rick and I trust that you heard something that will help your life. And if you believe that it would help others, please make sure and share. Like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified when the next podcast is available. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.